will call the regular meeting of the Simsbury Board of Education. Today is March 25th, 2014 to order. And with that, we have a number of recognitions this evening.
Yes.
Mr. Curtis.
Get us started.
Yes.
Great. First recognition we have is Simsbury High School girls hockey team. So welcome. We have the coach, Chris Arnold, here with a couple of the players, I believe the captains, and the athletic director, Dane Street, and they have won a state championship and have had great success over the course of the past couple of years. So congratulate you, Dane. I was going to turn it over to you, and maybe you could tee it up a little bit and give us a little background.
Yep. So first I'll say that we are day 2 into spring sports, which means, of course, snow in the forecast tonight. We had a great, very successful winter season, and the highlight, successes all over the board. A lot of teams went to the playoffs, a lot of individual accomplishments, and certainly the highlight of the season was our girls ice hockey team that finished the regular season with an 18-2 record. Went on to win the SCC championship. That is their fifth consecutive league title, and then they went all the way through the state playoffs and ended up with a 3-1 win over Darien to claim the state championship. So tremendous effort by our. So we just wanted to thank them for coming again tonight. Head coach Chris Arnold was named our SCC Coach of the Year.
Can you have him stand up and introduce him, please?
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks.
Head coach Chris Arnold.
All of you.
There you go.
We had a terrific season. We were actually 22-2, not 18-2.
They all count, right?
A 14-game winning streak. We've had a great team for a bunch of years now. How many athletes in this room? High school athletes? Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone win a state championship? They're tough to win. They're really tough. We've had a great team for a long time, and it takes a lot of pieces. And Jordan Arnold, Maggie Wrigley, Haley Aubin, senior captains and junior captain, they were a big part of our success. So this team went the entire season having never spoke about winning a state championship the entire year. That we realized that the state championship was a goal and a result, and we didn't speak about it till the last minute of the last period until we were ready to go out and actually win it all. It's a team that really understood that anything you had to get in life, that working for it was the way it needed to be done, and truly the hardest working team I've ever coached. Super proud.
And you have the plaque there? Is that the?
I do.
Those are the goods? All right.
This plaque will stay in Simsbury High School. Banners will go in the rink. Banner will go in Simsbury High School as well. I think you could use a little more hard work in here, so we might set it up. We know there's a cost for hockey, and we certainly appreciate the talent and the support and the memories that these girls will have. I think they'll remember being a lot of things in high school, but I'm certain as long as they live, they're going to know that they won girls' state hockey tournament.
Great. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
All right, I'm going to give Sue to turn it over to Sue to introduce the next recognition.
Great. So tonight we have Cindy Parsons. Cindy Parsons is our K-12 Director of Visual Arts, and she's been an art teacher with us for years, but new to this role as supervisor this year. And tonight she wants to share some great news around the Scholastic Art Awards and our students' performance with that recognition. So I turn it over to Cindy.
So as Sue said, the district supervisor, new to this position this year. Just wanted to recognize some of the recent accomplishments of our art students, including the Scholastics Awards, which took place in January at the Hartford Art Gallery at the Hartford Art School. Excuse me. That is a very competitive art exhibit. Teachers grades 7 to 12 are allowed to submit 4 pieces statewide, and that meant we submitted 36 pieces. And so as a result, they're judged amongst 1,500 pieces. And our students won 19 awards this year. So among them was several silver keys, 2 gold portfolio scholarships, and a scholarship to the Fine Arts Academy in Old Lyme. So it's quite competitive, and we're very proud of our students. Also, 2 of our students in our animation and film course have recently placed in the top 10 of the Department of Motor Vehicles public service announcements for safe teen driving. Hard to say. Sammy Dowd and Emily Watkins created a short film in collaboration with the Simsbury Police Department and the Fire Department as well. And they will be honored at a dinner with Governor Malloy, where 3 of the top finalists will be chosen in April. And most recently, 6 of our students were chosen to participate in an exhibit for outstanding young artists at the Farmington Valley High School Art Show at the Gallery on the Green in Canton. It was open to juniors and seniors. It's currently on exhibit there till April 20th. 3 of our students won some cash awards. Brenna Sullivan, Noah Groblatt, Danielle Osborne were each awarded cash prizes. I hope you get a chance to visit that show while it's up. And I just want to say thank you for your time tonight. Glad to have met you all, and very fortunate to be working with the fine art teachers that I work with. And hopefully you'll get to see our art shows that start on April 9th, I believe. I think Terriful is our first show. Try to get out to see them. They're great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we do have, for those of you that are sitting in the hallways here, we do have
Couple
available
seats.
seats, so we do encourage you. I understand there are Boy Scouts that are in the hallway. I would encourage them to come in if they're adult leaders. There, we do have seats in the back. Great, we found a seat. Very, very good. Good. All righty. Good. All right.
I think we're good for recognitions, right?
Yes, we're all, well, it's good,
Yeah.
very good, so congratulations.
Nice way to start.
Absolutely,
Great.
to our hockey team and to all our ARPA board members. It's quite an achievement and accomplishment. We talk about student performance and how we measure success in Simsbury Public School System. This is probably the highlight of our board meetings, and it's a great way to start off a board meeting. And congratulations to all the students and their parents that are here with them also. So with that, we will move on to public audience. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the board may do so. Please state your name and address. Alrighty. Seeing none. And we will have a second public audience at the end of our meeting. We will now move on to board and administrative communications. And with that, welcome Patrick Long.
Thank you.
And Patrick Long will be taking the place of Jacob Gettinger, and he is our student representative, so we welcome you
Thank you
to
very
the
much.
seat. So we'll start with you, Pat.
All right, so it's a busy time of year at the high school. Spring sports have officially begun as of Monday. So practices, tryouts are starting now. There's a few more weather-dependent type sports that are yet to get going, but the pieces are in place, things are underway. Jacob mentioned last time, I think, that dodgeball is starting soon, so that's something people get excited about at the high school. It's a lot of fun. And along similar note to that, we had our first SHS handball tournament a few weeks ago that went off very well. It was a big success. They had to delay it a few times because of weather, but I think it was something we might be seeing in the future. It was a lot of fun for kids. It was a one-night thing. Next Monday, FBLA is going to our Connecticut State Leadership Conference. And that will be my predecessor Jacob's last time on stage as a Connecticut State officer. So a little tear in the eye for him. With spring sports comes the end of the third quarter. The fourth quarter starts Monday, April 7th. With the start of the fourth quarter, seniors are hearing back from colleges, starting to make decisions. Along the same lines as that, the college fair next Wednesday night for juniors and underclassmen to start that process that we're finishing up now. And then Jacob mentioned last meeting that we were going to Cave Day on the Hill last week or 2 weeks ago. And that was a big success. Brian and Mallory were there as well. And then the day after that, Lydia, Jacob, and myself also recorded a radio show for Flight 100.5 WRCH that's airing soon.
Oh.
So, very good. Very good. And I'd like to ask both of you, while we have the opportunity, on your thoughts on Day in the Hill. We were very fortunate to have Mallory, Brian, Jacob, and Pat as our Board of Education students representing Simsbury. So briefly, your thoughts about your day.
I just thought it was a very interesting experience getting to see educators from around the state all coming, discussing the problems that are facing education in our state right now, in our nation especially, in this time of great legislative change. So I thought that was a really interesting experience.
Good.
Yeah, we didn't get to see the House and Senate in session on the day we were there, but we got to talk to Representative Hampton and a few lobbyists as well. So it was good.
Very good, very good. And we talk about student achievement and our students really rising. Our Simsbury students, every year that they join us for the CAVE Day on the Hill, which is the Connecticut Association of Boards of Ed. It's our day of advocacy. So they are with about 100 Board of Ed representatives around the state and superintendents and other students. And our students certainly do get attention there. They have been on TV shows, radio spots, in the paper. So we do measure our students' success and performance right there in the Capitol. So thank you for joining Mrs. Lee and I that day. Great, thank you. Susan?
What's that, Lydia?
Chris?
Nothing, Lydia.
Tara?
Well, I was just noticing a lot of Shrek signs all over town. So the Henry James is putting on the theater production of Shrek. The shows will be at the Simsbury High School, and they will be in April, the first weekend of April. So I think it will be worth the price of admission. It'll be a lot of fun. So think about it and go see it.
They're also having a sensory sensitive performance for the Saturday show, which is something new that they're trying. So
For students who can be oversensitized very quickly, so it'll be less overstimulating, less stimulating.
All right, good.
That's it.
I just had the great opportunity to be a judge at Terriffill for the Invention Convention. And there were 22
That's right.
students from grades 4, 5, and 6 that participated. And so I had to run out, so I don't know who the winners are to get here. But it was fascinating. It was wonderful to get a chance to see how these kids had thought about an invention, had sort of drawn it out, and actually made a prototype of what they were wanted to put out. And I believe it's 5. Oh, here's. Here's Scott.
We with 5. The judges were arguing. I said I got a board meeting to get to, and so we twisted our arm and let us take 7 up to UConn at a competition event.
Oh,
great.
wonderful.
We're really excited.
Oh, wow. And so the judges, there was a representative from Ensign Bickford, the executive director from Invention Convention. She gave me a nice executive pass to get in up at UConn. And so it's really, and Betsy Gonzalez and Paul Smith from the middle school were all judges. So it was great. And Kim Loveland, the teacher at Terriffill, who put it together. So
That's great. That's great. That's really good.
2 quick things, Lydia. First, Community for Care, which is a town-appointed committee that I've mentioned to the board before. We will be having our first meeting on April 9th, and this committee, the membership has been great as far as residents from all over Simsbury, as well as representatives from the Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen. So I'll be giving you updates as that work progresses of that committee. The second thing is our communications subcommittee met just the other day to take a look at district-wide what our formal communications look like to all of our stakeholders. And we will be developing a draft of a needs assessment to make sure that we are getting out and providing the information that our parents, our families, and our community members are seeking. So more on that as well.
Good. Burke?
Just one quick item. Last evening was the Board of Selectmen meeting where the capital improvement program 6-year capital project plan was discussed, and I represented the Board of Ed at that meeting. And now, as we speak, there's a meeting downstairs with the Board of Finance to also review the capital plan. So I'll have to excuse myself. They're going to notify me when I'm up. So.
Okay. All right. So we'll through. We'll come back though. All right. Thank you.
2 things. Thanks, Lydia. One is a lot of teachers in the room tonight, and today was our first day at the elementary level with the Smarter Balanced Assessment. So I know many of us were out and about in the building. I want to take the opportunity to thank our teachers and our administrators. Our students certainly play a huge piece in this in trying to deal with the multitude of things we have going on right now and trying to manage change effectively. And I think while we had some hiccups that were reported, I think by and large we made our way through and we look at it as a learning experience, and we'll move forward. So thank you for all your efforts as we juggle the multiple initiatives that are put upon us. We talked a little bit about the Day on the Hill. Lydia and I had another opportunity. This is the second time we've done so in the last month and a half. We met with local legislators along with Alan Adley, the superintendent of the Granby Public Schools. And while we were in session, we just felt it important again to, from a superintendent's lens, discuss the challenges of change management and the fact that when we have initiatives of this magnitude going on at one time, we need to be conscientious of implementation, that these initiatives can cause competing resources. So I think we had a really good dialogue, and we'll continue to do that. And I think we're in a good place relative to where a lot of other districts are in, but we recognize, again, with teachers in the room, the challenges that we face in trying to feel good about what we're doing each and every day. So just wanted to share that.
Right. And that was important. We just met last Friday, with Senator Witkos and Representative Hampton and representative from Granby. So this was good because it gave them the opportunity to really hear from us, from Superintendent and Board of Education, because not all sit on the Education Committee, of what we're facing, right. and the number of implementations that boards are facing this year in districts. It was a short year. Session hopefully will be closed and the budget vote on by May, but in all intents and purposes, we got our marching orders that we start planning really for next year. Right. And the sooner that we have dialogue and discuss and bring to the table our needs and concerns regarding public education in our districts, it's important for them to be able to bring forward, so it really never does end. But and along with that, continue.
I'm good.
You did? Okay, I'll just continue along with that. Hot off the press from speaking in the legislative world terms of the committee, Education Committee had action today on just a couple of the following bills, and those you may have been reading about it in the newspaper, but one was the implementation of the budget recommendation of the governor's budget concerning education, and also another one from other committees is excused absences from schools for children of service members and recommendations of school nurse advisory. A lot of bills have come before Education Committee, Appropriations Committee. Last week was just the 1 week since this is a short session for testifying on behalf of bills regarding education. And some of the bills that we have testified on behalf of K was the act of imposing moratorium on the implementation of Common Core standards. You may have heard about the marathon hearing that day that took about 12 to 14 hours or so, and the testifying on that, along with probably about 24 other bills. Another bill that we testified on was the act concerning youth athletics and concussions, and the act concerning state funding for education and the budgets of Board of Education. So these are all acts that will be voted on this week coming out of Ed Committee, and then going forward toward the Appropriations Committee. So we're still in the middle of where we are in terms of what bills will be coming forward. And as I said, it is a short session, so hopefully the legislative wrap-up should be by May, and we are doing our best to represent our districts, represent you on behalf of the school children of this district and the state. With that, for my fellow board members, there will be an update tomorrow if you want a webinar on the Connecticut General Assembly legislative session. So we offer these for board members to keep you informed of where we are with everything. And lastly, I would just like to give my sincere appreciation. It is Board of Education Appreciation Month in March, and so I know Mr. Curtis has sent out a few notices and words of thanks, and I would like to just sincerely thank, well, I got one.
Everybody got one.
Oh, I feel much better. I thought it was special. We're all special. So, so with that, I just would like to extend my sincerest thanks and gratitude to my fellow board members. The others are not here this evening, but also the same sentiments will follow them for all the work and dedication and the time that you serve and I serve as volunteers to make this district better. And for all of you that are sitting out in the audience, parents, teachers, staff, students, and those at home, in particular students. And you know, we are here to serve you, and we work hard. And with that, I know you appreciate that. I appreciate every day coming to a meeting with the board that is here, and superintendent and staff. So with that, thank you for everything you do, and I know those out in the audience also feel the same way. And we'll continue with the good work that we do for this district and for all of you. All right, that is it for me. We'll now move on to recommended actions. We are now on Exhibit 1, appointment of Central School and Latimer Lane School principals. And with that,
Great. All right, so this is the exciting part. I think this is why people are here.
I know they were here to
Okay.
Board Appreciation Month.
Right.
Wow, look at this. This timing is just perfect.
Right. So, you know, this is an exciting night, and it's an evening that really culminates what's been a pretty rigorous and inclusive process. When you go out and develop a process to hire 2 building administrators, it's complex, and you need to create a process that allows people to have voice and give input. And I think we've done a really good job with that, and I'm proud of that. I want to take a minute and just thank Sue Lemke for her work, and thank all those people that sat on committees. Folks that do this start to finish know that it is quite a process of review of information and getting feedback, so we can make the best decision possible. And these are really important decisions, and I think that's why you see the room filled. Right? Because these decisions impact a lot of people, and in the end impact the education that we provide our students. And we know that outside of the direct impact of the quality of the teaching that goes on in the classroom, research demonstrates that building-based leadership is the second most important thing. So I'm really excited to come forward tonight and recommend the 2 candidates that we have sitting before us. The first recommendation I have is the appointment of Beth Hennessy as the next principal at Central School. Beth is currently... Beth is currently a language arts consultant at Central School. She's been with the district for 7 years. I had the opportunity to work with Beth very closely when I was a principal at Squadron Line School, and I'm proud. I'm very proud that she sits before us tonight, and I think we're getting a tremendous leader in Beth, and somebody that has incredible potential to lead a wonderful, wonderful school community for a long time. It's great to see our building administrators out tonight to support. It's great to see, thank you Edie and Grace, as you have a couple months left to enjoy your current position. Share a bit of the limelight as we transition tonight, which I know can be tough too, but I think Beth will do a wonderful job. I've seen her work firsthand in coaching our adult teachers and making connections with parents and kids, and I feel we will leave Central in a great place and in great hands. So I would ask that the board make a motion to appoint Beth Hennessy as the next principal at Central School.
So moved.
do I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
There you go. Joined by your parents tonight, which is very nice to see.
My mom's crying already.
Tell her we don't cry on this team.
I'm deeply honored to be chosen as the next principal at Central School and to follow in Edie's footsteps. It's a really, really big honor. I was able to be part under Edie's leadership and a lot of teacher work to see the outpouring of love and support during the 100th birthday celebration, and that really made it a really special impact on me. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to continue to honor the traditions at Central School and grow its legacy. And I'm very excited for that.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. I am equally excited to recommend this evening the next principal of Latimer Lane School, Michael Lizzetti. So Mike is here with his wife, Debbie. For those of you that don't know, Mike is currently a principal. He has a unique position. He oversees 2 elementary schools. So the logistics of doing that in a time of significant reform, I think, speak for themselves. But, you know, what we get in Mike is a passionate educational leader, somebody that has a proven track record of building a sense of community and connectedness, not only with parents, but with staff. I had a wonderful conversation with his current superintendent and recognized just in his voice and his tenor the loss to the district there. And we certainly feel fortunate that we were able to get somebody back in district that had a legacy as an outstanding teacher and somebody that really had those connections right through. And I think Mike will make a wonderful addition to our team and has a great upside as a leader and great potential for growth as well. So I would ask that the Board of Education make a motion to appoint Michael Lizzetti as the next principal of Latimer Lane School.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I could not be more excited to be coming back to Simsbury. This is really where I've learned so much about what I know about education, and so much of it from so many of the people that are still in this room today. I'm thrilled and excited to work on the transition with this wonderful lady here, and to just really see, you know, how much further we can push Latimer and how much more positive a community it can be, and how much higher the ceiling is for our students. So thank you. It's great to be back.
Congratulations.
May I
Yes,
share?
of course you may.
The very first person that I hired as an administrator in Simsbury was this lovely lady right over here, Debbie Lizzetti. In fact, at the time, her name was Debbie Soares, yeah. And I shared with her that I had a very eligible young son.
Grace did not bet this.
And she told me she wasn't interested because she was just beginning to see somebody that she wanted to like. And it was this man here next to me that she ended up marrying, and so it feels like it's kind of come back around again.
Absolutely. Come first, full circle, so.
Congratulations to you both, and you don't have to stay. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you so
We'll
much for
celebrate a
coming.
little bit. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mike. Awesome.
Really nice. And so thank you so much. Thank you so much. Congratulations. I know where the posters are made.
No, just.
Oh, that's all.
That's going.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. In all the different spots. That was wonderful. He knocked down his skirt. He's not used to wearing skirts. Thank God. You never get it. You always go, yes.
Oh, we actually.
It was so much
I mean, it does rock. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I think it was a little reception.
Yeah, I know. We brought the cupcakes.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
All righty. Oh, it's great to have such.
It's very nice.
such a number in the audience here, it just shows the true support of staff and students and parents in the school system. We will now move on to we will now move on to the Exhibit 2. We are on recommended actions, approval of minutes of February 25th, 2014 meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, I did second.
Second, thank you, Tara. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are now on to Exhibit 3, personnel.
Lydia, I have one personnel recommendation for the board this evening, and that's an intent to retire from science teacher Mark Melangonis, who's been at the high school for over 25 years. He has made his intent to retire for June 30th of 2017. So it's the recommendation that the Board of Education accept this notice of intent to retire of Mark Melangonis effective June 30th of 2017.
Very good. Thank you, Sue. Do I hear a second?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Second. Thank you. Any discussion?
I think 25 and a half, it'll be 28 years, I think.
Well-
It's a lot to be, we're lucky to have him, and I appreciate
A lot of good
his
work.
service. I think it was wonderful.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We are now on to information and reports. Exhibit 4 in your packet, the continuing education update.
Great.
And Sue, I believe you'll
Thanks,
be doing
Lydia.
this and-
You know, we have the Department of Continuing Ed come and share their continued great work to provide quality programs to the youngest members of Simsbury to our most seasoned members in Simsbury. And they're always rejuvenating what they have to offer in so many different aspects. So I'm going to invite up Dave Kroom, the Director of Continuing Ed. He'll provide an overview of the department's efforts. We also have Betsy Gonzalez, our Director of Elementary Curriculum. She'll review summer academies. We have Nikki Mahan, who is going to, she's the Director of SEED, but also our preschool, so she'll be talking about those efforts. And certainly last but not least, the SAA Artistic Director, Cindy Rem, to share the great work of the department. Good, so I'll turn it over to Dave.
Thank you all for inviting us. So I happened to notice you looked at me when you talked about the season. People.
Dave, that was, I don't know what to say about that.
Paul Kulikowski is the only member of our office staff who couldn't be here tonight. He had a previous commitment. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of Paul's activities before I go on with the slide. Paul runs our state mandated program, and bottom line, this is the meat of our department. It's a state mandated requirement by the Board of Education. We provide GED, ESOL services, citizenship and Americanization types of programs. Paul started this past fall when Barbara resigned, and we're so fortunate to have him. He came at a time when the state is reviewing the adult programs as well as the programs K-12, and we're being affected by the Common Core as well. The newest activity is a new GED testing program which started January 1. It's all in computers. It's very academically based in the 4 major disciplines, and the state has been great in implementing this and providing us the support. Paul's attended countless conferences, and it's going to be continuing in the coming year as our GED teachers are going to be evaluated in a similar process to the process for the academic teachers K-12. That process will be implemented starting next year. If any of you have any questions on it, I can talk further on it later on. To keep our program brief, I'm going to skip some of this.
Thank you.
Paul gave me 4 pages, and I just highlighted. On the board, you see some of the programs that we're going to be doing for this coming summer. The summer program is our biggest thrust. Betsy's here. She's going to be talking about some of the elementary programs in a couple of minutes. But one of the areas that we're working on in compatibility with the Children's Academy is we're creating some parent-children programs for this summer in hopes of encouraging people with smaller children to get to participate in our Children's Academy program. And their mother-daughter, father-son type programs or any combination. In the middle school programs and the upper elementary programs, we're creating a number of camps, and they're going to have both half-day and extended day options because some of our market is changing. There are some parents who would like a full day of activities, and so we're going to be combining some of those, giving them that opportunity. I want to point out the two top ones. Making Sense is a version of our financial literacy program at Simsbury High School. It's a very modified program, getting the kids more involved with their own personal finances, and we're going to be making it hopefully fun and a learning experience for them at the same time. Plato is a program which I introduced to you last year, and I think Aaron spent quite a bit of time on it. We have used it for our summer programs both at the middle school and the high school. It has been a tremendous success. I've sat in and observed about 3 class sessions during the course of last summer, and I was totally impressed with how focused the kids remained on the computer program. And it gives us additional flexibility to provide activities and classes that we could not normally offer because we don't have to get enough students to be able to afford to run that program. We could offer a chemistry class to a student who wants to gain additional information, be better prepared if they don't feel they've acquired as much as they could have during the school year, or if they need to improve their grade. So we have that option. This Plato program gives us tremendous flexibility. We ran it last summer with most of the basic courses. This year we're going to be expanding it in coordination with Kevin Bacon and the high school administration to provide other classes to give students an opportunity for recovery credit. The one thing that I didn't mention in the camps, and I think I mentioned this last year, but I'm very proud for the 13th consecutive year, we're going to have the UConn girls here this summer. They're going to be here starting July 7th for a week, and I'm hoping they'll be the national champion. I think that would
brings a little extra draw with it.
it really does. So that's where we are. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Betsy at this point. Okay.
So if you look at the slide, you can think summer, which is just out there on the horizon, not too far away through the storm, and keep looking at nice blue oceans pretty soon. We have some exciting opportunities for our students where we extend learning for students who might need a little bit more time to practice and solidify their grade level skills. And those two programs are our Summer Literacy program, or Summer Literacy Academy, and the theme for this year is Reading Rocks. And the program for math is our Summer Math Academy, and we are calling it Sail into Summer. So I'll tell you a little bit about Reading Rocks. It's a program where every year we come up with a new theme for these programs to hook our students, to hook our readers or our writers or our mathematicians, to engage them in the work and to make some connections. So the Summer Literacy Academy is a program for our students who are entering grades 1 through 4. It's a 3-week program. And the emphasis this year is going to be on close reading of text in getting kids to slow down, pay careful attention to really develop their thinking about their reading, and really enhance that comprehension that is so important, which is really the purpose and what's behind reading in general. Our classroom teachers who work in this program over the summer provide daily opportunities for individual small group instruction to enhance those skills and to build on those student strengths. As we look at the Summer Math Academy, which is our sail into summer, this is a program for our older students. These are students entering in grades 4, 5, and 6. And we're really helping students apply the math content to real world problems. So we're really engaging them in problem solving through games, through technology. And the focus this year is on model building and developing the skills needed for construction. So they will be using all safety approved activities and tasks to actually build boats. So they'll be focusing on measurement and scale drawing. So it's a nice way to really solidify some important skills that students still need to secure and apply them in a real and applicable real life situation. The two enrichment programs that we have this summer is our Summer Writing Academy. That is not new for us. We've had the Summer Writing Academy for at least the last, I think, 7 or 8 years. This is a big draw for our families and for our writers. The theme this year is Let's Bring It to Life. It's a narrative writing adventure. We spent some time on expository and information and opinion writing in the past, and we're going to go back to narrative this year. Every year we survey our teachers, our parents, and the students to get their feedback about what they might like to focus on next year, and this was some feedback that we collected from our students. So our students will have an opportunity to bring some characters to life, to develop some stories, to practice the narrative skills and traits of writing that will only enhance their pieces. At the end of the academy, the students will create an anthology that they will share, and we will be able to share with families and students in the program. And we hope that we'll have some entries for the Connecticut Writing Project Contest for the 2015 school year. So that will be a nice product to have at the end. And then this year, our Summer Math Enrichment Academy is for our students who are entering grades 4 and 5. And again, it's an opportunity for students to really practice some rich problem solving and reasoning skills and techniques to solve some pretty challenging math problems. It was a huge success last year. It was the first year we ran the program, and therefore we're going to run it again. And these students really enjoyed those opportunities to work collaboratively with each other, to engage in dialogue and problem solving through games and technology as well. So we're really gearing up for this work. The registrations are coming in as we speak, and we're really excited to offer these opportunities for our students and our families again.
That's what was like overall enrollment in the Math Academy last year around? I mean, not to hold you to the number.
The Math Academy is a little bit smaller because they're students who are recommended by teachers.
Okay.
So it's about 30-ish students.
Yeah. Thanks.
So with that, I guess it goes to me. Preschool has been pretty busy this year. Last summer we moved from Teuton Hills to Squadron, which we are loving our new space in the former kindergarten classrooms. There are bathrooms within like 10 feet. It's really great. And they visit them a lot. At Central, a lot. At Central, our enrollment is up, I'm pretty sure, from last year. It's actually more than what I had here even. It was about 30, it was about 40 at Central, and soon to be about 39. I have 2 more coming in a couple weeks that are moving into the district at Squadron. So we're really happy about that. That includes students with special needs at both schools. We probably have about 15 at Squadron, 10 to 15, 10 to 12 at Squadron, and about 12 to 15 at Central that receive services through the special ed department. And then we also have at Squadron our 8 open choice students. There are 4 in each classroom, and that's been working really, really well. We definitely, have seen some pluses with that as well. In development right now, we had about 24 students from the high school in the child development classes come and observe in our preschool program a couple weeks ago, and I'm working with Diane Rigby, and I don't remember the other teacher's name, I haven't met her yet, over there what's that?
Eddie Brobarsh.
That's it. To kind of do a collaboration with their internship program over there, starting next year, hopefully. So that will be great to have some of those students. The kids loved having the high school students. I just have to share really quickly. I had one little boy who is never shy. and Justin, and was Betsy knows him, and was completely shy and would not look up or anything. And when I said to him, what's the matter? Why are you being like, he goes, there's a lot of girls here. I think it was all girls actually that came, so it was quite.
Well, that's a lot.
He warmed up in about 20 minutes. He was good. He was warmed up.
So is that the first year of that collaborative?
Yeah, and next year will hopefully be. Yeah,
Okay, next year.
it came out of Diane Rigby emailed me and said, "Hey, can I have some students come observe?" Sure, and then
Yeah.
we started talking, and
I think that's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Cindy did that also.
Yes.
You already did
Yeah.
a kind
So,
of program like it.
I think it would be really exciting, and it was great to have the young kids in there too.
Excellent.
And our little ones, they're cool, way cooler than us. Our focus this year, I worked a lot with Betsy last year and over the summer on intentional and purposeful planning, instruction, and assessment. We wanted everything that we did in that classroom to have intention and purpose. From planning it, to instructing it, to assessing how it went, and assessing how the students are doing. So we've worked really hard on that. We are actually at the point now where our teachers, a lot of them have those objectives from our curriculum down pat. They know them. We've got little cards to identify bulletin boards and what that purpose was, and so they're getting there. It's year 2 has been really exciting for that. We did a lot of professional development with the teachers, especially in literacy. We used, again, with Betsy's help, we used Kit Lashifer to do she's done a lot of mentoring and coaching, especially with focusing on expanding the literacy instruction in the classroom and streamlining the connection with kindergarten. We're strengthening that every time. We had lots of field trips this year. They went to Brown's Harvest in the fall. They just went to Fitzgerald's, which they absolutely, these kids loved Fitzgerald's. They got a cookie, they got a slice of cheese, they saw the back room, they thought it was great. And then we had...
What kind of field trip?
Yeah, Fitzgerald and the post office, they thought that was cool too. Mad Science, we've had Mad Science come in, and then actually I believe later this month, or might be April, we have Harrison Wonderland. It's a reptile show, so he comes in with snakes and yeah, that's a fun stuff.
Skip that one.
That's a nice
I'll remind you. Okay. Moving on to my other hat, the SEED program is growing by leaps and bounds. As of last week, we hit our highest enrollment ever, which was 279 kids across the district, which is phenomenal. Our TerraFill program, I can't speak highly enough. It's like doubled 1.5 times in size since it started in 2010. We now have about 30 kids there. The first year we had like 9 to 12.
And I remember that. We had conversation about that because they had so many after-school kind of activities and unique things going on. We weren't sure if there was a demand. So
I now have
that's
24 to 30 every day.
Yeah.
Do you have students that come into the program? I mean, as their year progresses, sometimes they're busy.
We have kids that'll pull out because they're doing soccer and then they'll come back or something like that. I have kids that only come during tax season because parents work in that field. I have kids that come for like 3 months and that's it. So yeah, they come and go.
It's really nice.
Yeah, our open choice enrollment has grown this year as well. We now have 19 kids, all 19 at Squadron in the morning participating. And we have, I believe it's now 39, they said 38. We just got one last week, so 39 students participating after school at all 5 elementary schools with late buses that we coordinate with Crack On. That's increased by 23% just from last year. So that's been we've seen some improvement with homework and things like that and talking with teachers, so that's been huge. At Squadron, we've worked really well with Maggie Seidel has helped us. We've actually got the kids going up to the computers and doing their extra math homework on the computers.
Not to jump in, that was one of the real challenges when we first started the program, and it's interesting, choice transportation, they all come at the same time. Squadron has a later opening. So those students at Squadron, when we initiated the program, we didn't have a support mechanism in place. They would wait on the bus. It's just something that didn't feel right in terms of integration into the school system. So this has been a great way to provide some extra time and supports and make the students really feel part of the school community. It's really done a great job with that.
Thank you. They come in, they have breakfast, run around in the gym, on the playground, and then we're off to school. They get there about 8 o'clock, and it's been great. New program coordinator this year. For those of you, I know Matt is familiar with, we had Judy Corey. She started the program with me. However, she had her little one and decided to stay home. She does still work with us part-time, so it's great to still have her around. She does some fit for fun stuff for us in the afternoon, yoga, dancing, some enrichment stuff we do within the confines of the SEED program itself. Kelly Curtis is our new program coordinator. She was a site manager at Latimer Lane for me for 2 years, so she knows the ins and outs of the program, and she's been a great addition, and we love having her. And last but not least, the Penguin Plunge. There were 9 of us last Saturday. It actually says on here $1,200. There's a correction. We actually raised $1,525 by being shameless and jumping in a really cold lake.
And I saw the video.
The video is on our webpage. I'm shameless. I'll admit it.
I almost put it up, and I thought that would be to me.
Thank you very much. No, we did. We bit the bullet. We went barefoot, head under. We decided the 9 of us, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it. And we had T-shirts and penguin hats, and so feel free to go and look at the website. The lake was frozen. They had to cut the ice. It was awesome, though. It was great. Totally worth it. So with that, I turn it to Cindy.
Yeah, hi everybody. How are you this evening? So I want to first of all thank you so much for allowing me to remain part of this wonderful school district in my transition year from art director to this wonderful position I have as director of Simsbury Arts Academy. And it's been a super transition, and I've been able to put a lot more energy into Simsbury Arts Academy. We're just completing our spring semester after a very successful fall semester, and I counted every single child, fall semester and spring semester, and we had very, very close to 200 students want to be part of this fantastic extended day experience after school, fall and spring. Accolades to Joanna Ferrari, our strings director. She started a program which I coordinated with the Friends of Music in order to our report card conference days to give kids a visiting artist experience. So she and I kind of pooled our energies with the friends, and we have had 80 students sign up for that activity between fall and spring. So that's super, and our other workshops were very successful as well in there. So it was great fall and spring. So happy about my collaborative with the SEED program, the after-school multicultural arts program. Again, we have Catherine Ann O'Brien back with us as a teacher in that consulting model. You can look at you have your iPads there, but this is typical of the way she is coaching SEED program leaders to help teach the tour of our world. She provides art history and culture information, a project, the reasons why students should study the particular topic. And we have traveled to Africa, to New Zealand, to southern Canada and northern United States, to Bali in Indonesia, and to Africa, East Africa, to meet the Maasai people in that program. Right now, our students are working in every school with EdFast. Our master teaching artist, who is our wonderful Latin jazz teacher. We're so happy to have gotten a very sizable grant, a chef, a student supported academic grant, and ed and musicians are working with choice in our after-school kids, 4 workshops in each elementary school and a school performance. So our endowment was doubled. And it was doubled because of the success of last year, because how into it our students are, and because parents wanted it and really wanted it. Our performances start second week in April, and I will make sure that Kitty has the information to invite you all to every performance, so you can see our kids up on stage performing with a professional jazz group. So you have in your board packet our summer offerings. They're huge. There's so many ideas that we had. Some highlights are in musical theater, we will be performing Honk. The Honk will be our body of literature that we'll study, and it's an adaptation of Hans Christian Andersen's story about the ugly duckling, and it focuses on tolerance, diversity, apathy, and kindness. So I love that choice for that age group because we mostly have middle school and early high school kiddos. We have made our, as you saw on your slides of Scholastic Art Awards, our Fashion Academy has become infectious. I hope you enjoyed an article in the Simsbury papers about our collaborative with GAP. The GAP has given us this wonderful consultant to work with our Fashion Academy on visual merchandising. She's a former student of mine, which is such a pleasure for me. She'll be with us this summer. So this summer we're seeking 18 students as kind of a cohort to just be focused on design, making their collection, and we're going to go to New York. We're going to go on a college visit, and we're going to go to a house. So it'll be super. What else? Oh, in musical theater also, this is the first year we're offering a cohort for offstage, because it's really important, and the kids love it. So I'm happy to do that. One of our wonderful teachers, Lisa Brandt, in the music department, is so excited about starting jazz vocals in conjunction with the Jazz Academy. So she'll do that. She'll do some tutoring, some small group ensembles in jazz. Yeah, I think that kind of highlights the
You've been busy, Cindy.
You're busy.
Awesome.
Also, since you mentioned it, I've been enjoying getting out in the community, doing some speaking and some presenting. I was in East Granby last week, had a blast at their resource fair. I'm going to speak at Junior Women's, and I'm going to do a Friends for Music presentation and do something Friday night for Joanna. This is, I don't know, I have so many favorites. This is one of my favorites. favorite. So last year I showed you a nice slide of my interns last year, my high school seniors. This is 5 of 6 of them there in the back row. And these are our, our babies that come to Saturday morning art explorations. And look at their fantastic outfit. That's made with a product called Smart Fab. It's kind of like this stuff that's hanging down here. The children can stitch into it, draw into it, paint on it. Fantastic program, the Introduction to Art Education. And I compliment my students. They observe at elementary schools. They study content with me. They author. Understanding by design, lesson plans. They know quite a bit about the Common Core. They have to make examples. They teach 10 classes, and then they had to do a big presentation to Neil Sullivan, who was pretty impressed at the end of the session. So it's been great. It is great, and thank you so much.
This just, all of these great individuals here, just so representative of the incredible work that's happening, certainly for our students, pre-K and beyond, but also for the greater community, and just want to thank you. You do tremendous work every day.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
I have a question for Cindy. What was the grant that you received that you said for your visiting?
I want to say the correct name of it, so it's the Chef Open Choice Student and Academic Support Grant. I'm looking at my mentors over there. That's what it is. Yeah, Greg was a big one.
Thank you very much, Cindy.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody.
A grant from GAP.
Pardon me?
GAP.
A partnership. Partnership, yes.
Good. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you. All right. Always informative to hear what's going on in our system with our continuing ed. We are now on to Exhibit 5, McGowan gift in the packet.
All right, so we come back before the board this evening with, as you'll recall, we talked about reviewing 3 different options that we could potentially utilize the funding from the McGowan gift, which was about $470,000. The 3 things that my team researched a little bit deeper were infusion of technology, what we're calling interactive learning commons, into each of the 5 elementary schools and the middle school. So Erin will speak to that momentarily. We also had some conversation and did some research into potential modifications or enhancements to our preschool, more or less on the capital side, and then some thoughts and conversation maybe around scholarship opportunities for students to help balance out our enrollment. There's a scholarship component that we can certainly have the flexibility to run across any of the decisions that we do eventually make that we think would be a good idea in really honoring the legacy of Ms. McGowan. The final thing that I'll speak to briefly is the idea of a field house, which would be a snack shack and bathrooms at the Simsbury High School Athletic Complex. And that's an idea that initially came to us as a board from Lou George, who was working to represent the McGowan Trust. So I have some background information on that. So we have a couple, we'll all work through a piece of it, and thought that you could ask any questions that you have. This is just an initial conversation. We don't expect that any decisions would be made tonight. We can certainly come back at a further date with any more information, but kind of wanted to present our findings thus far and some of our ideas. So Erin, with that, I will turn it over to you.
So I just want to emphasize what Matt had said around, this is a high-level conceptual overview of what we're talking about, because there's going to be some particular details in the technology that without my sidekick, John Sealy Twinning, I might not be able to explain, but we would, if something like that is of more interest, we can certainly come back and give a much fuller report. So when we think about enhancing the technology at our 5 elementary schools and at our middle school, it's really about empowering our students to really find ways in which to utilize technology in a very independent, creative, problem-solving, collaborative manner. So really looking at these funds to what we're calling learning commons for kids as they come together. So when we look at this in a visual, and these are, when we think about engaging students in technology, couching it around this concept of a learning commons, where we're really pushing kids to become engaged, to find ways to express themselves, and to really become very active in using technology. There are, when you see the ways in which we think that we could utilize some of the funding, it's really giving kids the tools in which to, it's almost like this invention convention that I was at tonight, when kids think about something that they either want to explore, something that they might want to research, some video aspect of technology, that we would have a central location that these devices would be available to students to be able to really take and utilize. And we're talking about this at the elementary level where it's not always accessible in that sense. They typically get technology as it's integrated into the curriculum in a more classroom setting. This would be more on an independent basis for kids to be able to utilize and be creative with technology. And the expression part of it, what's fascinating, and one of the things that we are interested in is like a green screen and using video apps and ways in which for kids to really explore how to act out, talk, make a sound bite to the acting that they're doing, be able to replay it, have other kids respond to it in a way. So I think as you can hear me talking, we're talking about the large areas around the Common Core of reading and writing and speaking and listening. So all of this technology would certainly enhance that. And then really just, making things work. So this whole notion of engaging, expressing, and acting, and having the tools readily available to do it. As we know, more so at the secondary level, and you can see some of the things as we've talked over time at the high school, we have various pathways, whether it's a photography pathway or ways that kids can get involved in it, but we don't so much have that opportunity at the elementary and or the middle school level. So when we think about this, and this is where some of it will come to life, when you look at the kinds of equipment that we're looking to pull together, we're talking about mini iPads, we're talking about Chromebooks, putting these readily available, so providing more technology. A poster maker and the supplies that go along. These are ways in which to make some of these large posters that can be extremely expensive, but there's an art to it as well, and technology that goes along with it. The green screen, as I mentioned, not only just the green screen, but the lighting and the tripods and all those other aspects of it. The mini projectors, microphones, video apps, furniture that would make a conducive area that kids could collaborate, plan, talk about their work, show their work. And that hasn't all been very detailed out at this point yet, but really trying to think of an inviting location for kids to really think out and utilize technology to express themselves. In addition to the basic equipment, which you can see comes up to, and this is an estimate of about $62,500. Like I said, if we were to go forward with this at the 5 elementary schools and at Henry James, it would be about a total of $375,000 to do that. The other 2 items, the video storage and the network upgrades, obviously if you're putting types of video equipment and that kind of thing, we need to ensure that we have the video storage. That's one of the things that takes up an enormous amount of server space. And so we have trouble with that because our teachers like to store videos and hold them so that they'll have them for the next year or so on. But there's only so much space and storage for those, so in the servers. So that's one thing that would really be necessary in order to have this. And then some potential network upgrades, but not sure if that would be necessary, but just putting it out there as a placeholder just in case. And those 2 items under the line would just be a one-time cost. So as we look at this and look at the potential that this has to really expand the opportunities for kids is exciting to think about.
It really has an impact on the environment in the media center, right?
Correct,
It's something that-
right.
It's quite an infusion.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I think, I go back to my days as a building principal, and you think about those opportunities to bring kids together, and the library media center should be a hub of interaction and an opportunity for kids to really explore and engage each other in conversation. This also would give us great opportunities to do things with voice threads. We've done that with our Chinese sister schools, and it could really enhance that. Typically, we're only doing that at the high school, but there might be other ways to engage other faraway communities in communication with our students as well. So again, this is a very high-level overview, but one that gives you a sense, hopefully, and I certainly would entertain any questions that you might have about that.
I mean, just a couple. Aaron, is this a concept that other schools have done? What's kind of the genesis of this, and are there other examples out there, I guess?
So actually, this is coming from a lot of it, our innovative subcommittee that we have. When I sort of put this topic out to Joncia, she started to talk with some of the other folks, finding that, as we move really deep into technology, our kids are really smart about the technology around them, and we think that it will continue to enhance it. As for other schools, I'd have to really look into that. We're just at the preliminary stages. But I'd be very interested to see what other schools are doing. What I do know with the state of the art of the library media centers is that they are enhancing them with, opportunities like this, sort of that, whether it's that Starbucks-like seating or those opportunities to stand at pedestals and really talk about the work that you're doing, or to go off into a location to really create a video. We're not looking to redesign everything. We're just looking to have the tools readily available
Right.
for us.
I guess my second question is I would imagine a lot, the key to this is kind of cutting edge technology that's here and now, apps that are here and now. Can we sustain that from a cost point of view? Because I would imagine this is gentrifying fairly quickly in a lot of ways.
Yes, yeah. And that would be the question, that was one of the things, because again, I'm not familiar with Raspberry Pi and some of these other, but again, the sustainability of that and the ability in which to incorporate it into our operating budget would be something that we definitely would have to look into. Absolutely. And the equipment is, typically when we look at equipment like this, you're looking anywhere from, 3 to 5 to 7 years out. So,
Right.
but again, what we would want to do with this is to acknowledge the gift, is to put some kind of plaque in each of our library media centers, identifying the fact that we had a gracious donation from Kathleen McGowan for this technology equipment.
Okay, I guess just one last question is, to really facilitate this, does it require either additional staff or someone that's really becoming expert at this and devoting time to it, or do you see it more organically with the students?
So I think it's a little bit of both, but I
Okay.
don't think it's more staff. I think it's our library media specialists.
And their
because
role has evolved.
Their role has,
Yeah.
has really changed, and the excitement, that they have, and so I don't think it would, definitely, I'm not thinking more staff at all. But just that ability to grow. I mean, some of the things that I saw tonight at that invention convention, I mean, they're just really, kids are thinking outside the box and really using all kinds of things around them to sort of make a statement. And to have opportunities like this could grow as they go through the middle school and provide opportunities when they get into the high school, into our, some of our more engineering or technical areas as well.
Yeah, was there any discussion with this of, looking at additional 3D printers, in the elementary school? I mean, you
That's
mentioned
true.
engineering, for example.
That's right, we
so-
saw that, right.
Yeah.
Yes. We didn't get there, but that's certainly something that we could look into. That, what Chris is talking about, when we had a curriculum committee at the high school, we had the opportunity to see that 3D
Right.
printer, and that was fascinating.
They were using it in the architecture class or
Yes,
the engineering
yeah,
class.
yeah. So, but that's something we didn't think of, but certainly something we could explore.
I like that this can work with, a new way to do book reports, a new
Yes,
way
yes.
to create posters for your whatever civic organization you're working on, or even the things in school. The kids can get more involved in some of the PTO functions by making posters for the lemonade stand or what have you. I mean, it just seems like if they're kids who have the energy and the time, they can up the ante and
What it does too
Do
for
things
kids
like that.
too, is it differentiates if a student, just to sit down and whether it's listening to a story, being able to retell the story into and then having kids then be able to respond to their rendition of what they heard. It just opens up some learning centers, although we have learning centers around our elementary schools. It's just another really enhanced and
21st century skills.
opportunity.
And I would imagine the school will learn from the experimentation of the kids, right? They're going to be on the cutting edge of uncovering new approaches and values to learning, and the school will get the benefit of capturing those and applying those.
Sure.
I think that speaks to the evolution of what you would sustain and how you would sustain it over
Yeah.
time, is the learning you get from engaging in it, right? So-
And this is happening all over the state. I mean, you see these projects like that project, you see
Correct.
kids from all over the state doing these things.
Right.
And if they don't have the
Right.
facilities to do them in, then it diminishes their opportunities.
Even our robotics program and
Right.
having,
Oh, that has
the
evolved.
robotics opportunity at a
Absolutely.
younger age to be able to see
Yeah.
that grow over time. And we just don't have those different kinds of creative opportunities for our kids at the elementary level. They do a lot of research, they do a lot of word processing, they see videos via the curriculum, but
And they're
not-
blogging and they're doing stuff. They are doing some
Yes,
stuff.
they are
but-
doing the Google apps and those kinds
But
of
this
things,
would be-
but this is more of a independent, creative kind of opportunity to express themselves in a way.
Yeah, it's education.
Right.
You know what I like over here, just to keep going back to the slide, the empowering student learning through multiple means of engagement, expression, action. And I just, said a word to Matt. I'm looking here, McGowan Learning Resources. I think that's fabulous. I mean, that could be a marketing tool, a branding tool of what we're talking about, and how you empower students and use that. That
Right.
says a lot right there, that statement, into your interactive learning. I just think that's a very powerful message that as a board, within a district, this is something that what we're using for right there, so very descriptive.
It's a lot to think about, but it sounds interesting. Very
There'd be a
inspiring.
lot more exploration that would have to go
Right.
on, but
It's a
it's
beginning.
great to get
It's
some
a
ideas as well to look into.
It's a beginning.
The, one of the other areas that Matt had mentioned is that in order to, create a legacy and really acknowledge students that have gone through our elementary schools is creating 5 scholarships for graduating seniors, and 5 meaning one would go to a student from each of our 5 elementary schools at the end of 12th grade, and have it in the amount of $1,000, which is very helpful as our students are leaving and going on to their post-secondary options, and really looking at it for kids that, that love of learning and that devotion to community service, which I think would really embody, the kinds of things that were so dear to what I understand, not knowing Kathleen McGowan, but those were things that came clear to us as we learned more about her. So we would anticipate that taking about $50,000 of this money and holding it aside and doing these scholarships for approximately 10 years for the class of 2015 to the class of 2025.
Great. So we've talked a lot about the McGowan legacy, and part of that certainly is her work as an early childhood teacher. And so we took some time to consider modifications to pre-K and want to share with you more about them. Basically in 2 areas: room modification at Squadron Line and also scholarships for full day programming. So as you recall, we have 2 pre-K placements, and Nikki was just talking about those momentarily. We have a preschool program at Squadron Line. That is a typical Squadron Line pre-K program, as well as students who are pre-K and who are also part of our Ready, Set, Go program. Those programs were formerly housed at Tooten Hills, but once we removed the modulars, we moved those to Squadron Line. Our other preschool location is also at Central School. But as you know, and I'm looking at Tara and Susan as members of the Facilities and Enrollment Task Force, those modulars are slated to be removed not this coming summer, but the following summer. So there's always been discussion about unifying preschool at Squadron Line. So we thought that it would be really beneficial to look at possible modifications to that space as we are looking to unify preschool in that fall of 2015. There's some difficulties with that, however, because our preschool projections are really hard to ascertain. There are a lot of private school preschool options, as well as magnet school options. And as I have shared with you in previous enrollment reports, we've seen that jump actualize in just this past year from 41 students to most recently 71 students. So that makes us a little uneasy in trying to project how many preschool students we would have, and then therefore impact on these room modifications. And also we're looking at a full scale at facilities and enrollment across the district, and just being cautious but intentional about some movements that we might be making post-modular removal and some options and possible impact on Squadron Line. But definitely thought it worthy of our consideration. The other aspect is regarding scholarships for full day programming. So Nikki had shared with you some pretty robust numbers, and those robust numbers are currently actualized in our morning programs. So what we're finding, even though we're offering full day options to parents, many of the parents of pre-K aged children are taking advantage of only half-day sessions. In particular, we're finding our enrollment in the morning sessions are much more robust. So we had an idea to offer full-day scholarships to extend the day for students, and that also helps with full-day inclusion opportunities for our preschool special ed students as well. Some of the concerns around those scholarships is we're not typically in the business of a lottery for scholarships, and so we would have to do a deeper dive and some digging into what that would look like and what the parameters would be. But those are some of the preschool options that we consider.
And I would just, you touched on it, Sue, and articulated it well, but one of the challenges long-term with the preschool is the unknown about the legislative impact of local districts. Are they on the hook for paying preschool tuition to magnets or not? Right now, there's a reprieve period on that. CREC is actually picking up the cost.
Right, for this year.
And there's a proposal about a sliding scale between parents and district.
For next year.
The reality right now is these you know, you take the local magnet schools, that's a full-day program that's for free. We have a tuition-based program with mostly a half-day need. So, you know, from a competition standpoint, for both, you know, I'll even say your private preschools right now, as well as our public school offering, I mean, it's just, it's an unknown, and this is an idea I really, when we initiated the conversation, was really excited about, the preschool enhancement and looking in that way. It's an idea now I just have some reservations with because of all the moving parts, and I just would hate to see, you know, I don't want to say no, but I would hate to see an allocation of such significant dollars to something that 2-3 years down the road, because of a change in legislation or space needs that we have, we need to shift. So I know you said some reservations. I just wanted to reiterate my own opinion on that because there's a lot of moving parts, in particular with preschool.
Do we get many non-Simsbury families in our preschool?
They're predominantly Simsbury.
They are.
Yes.
Okay, so the last piece that we looked into, again, was the idea that the board had initially heard about through Lou George, who represented the estate, and that was to look into the potential building of a facility at the high school, the athletic facility, something that would house, you know, the concept of a field house, a snack shack, and bathroom, something that we don't have. Certainly, I think something that you could say there's a long-term need for. When Burke really started to take a dive into this and look at it, it's a pretty complex situation in terms of site planning and evolution of that site plan over time. As you know, we have some capital improvement needs currently there with the bleachers, both the home bleachers, the building of the visiting bleachers. We have capital improvement proposed dollars for redoing the turf, redoing the track. We have ongoing issues, pretty significant issues with the surfacing of the tennis courts. You remember we talked about that a little bit. So Dane Street, our athletic director, is actually looking at the entire site long-term and saying, are there, you know, significant shifts that need to take place, like putting the tennis court on the opposite side where the parking lot is because of the water issue, and relooking where the parking lot will go. So again, a situation where we have a lot of moving parts, not easy access for sewer and water distribution. So, you know, to go down this road, we'd really have to, in the short term, allocate dollars to research from an engineering standpoint. But I almost see this as part of a much larger conversation, which is a site plan discussion that I know Dane has already, as athletic director, taken a look at and working with Burke. The other piece I do want to put out there, we've had conversation about, we got quite a bit of feedback initially on this concept from the general public. I had an opportunity to meet not too long ago with some individuals in the community that had long-standing relationships with Ms. McGowan, and they were wonderful and gave me an opportunity to really, it was fun, gave me an opportunity to really sit and learn about her and her legacy. And we certainly, you certainly as a board have discretion over how we want to utilize these funds. This is not a restricted gift. Their feeling was, lifelong elementary teacher, is there a way to benefit the kids at the elementary school? So I pass it on to you. I know you've heard that before. Again, this is a need. I think that nobody's going to dispute that, but is this the right time and the right way to allocate these dollars would be my question. So those are the different areas we took a look at, wanted to put out before you tonight, and I see our job as being whatever next level of information or data you would want. I think you made some great points, Chris, about the 3D printer. I mean, there's all kinds of options, duration of scholarship and things we have flexibility over doing, but kind of just wanted to give a starting point to get the conversation moving.
You know, just, you know, Matt, something you just said resonated with me. You had met with people who talked about Kathleen, and so, you know, one of the values that emerged from them is she was an elementary school teacher. That's where her passion was. That's where the focus should go. And what would help me react to all of these is to begin to kind of see a defined filter or set of values as to how we want to use her gift, so to speak. Because I can look at each of these and go, oh, that's cool, that's interesting, that's really exciting.
Right.
But as I'm listening to it, I'm also putting energy into trying to link all the way back to her as a person and say, is this consistent with what a set of, like, the best filters I could identify to use, to really demonstrate good stewardship of her money
guiding
in a way
belief,
that's transparent to the community.
Yeah.
I think all these people have a passion. They're going to look at an idea and they're going to go, where did it come from? What filter did you use? How does this connect back to her? And I think it would be helpful to begin to articulate that and develop that as part of the presentation. You know, immediately right now I'm thinking, is one of my personal filters that I support using it for a capital expenditure or not? I don't know, but I've got to figure that out myself.
Right.
And I think the more that we're beginning to kind of identify that in this process, the more it's going to be, you know, I think we want to present to the community great stewardship, great transparency of how the decision was made. And it's just so linear right back to who she was as a person and what her passions were and what her own values were. So.
Okay.
I think for me, not, you know, again, not having known her, but I feel like a gift of this magnitude deserves a lasting, something that's something over time. And so I like the idea of impacting all the resource centers, library media centers at all the elementary schools. That's probably the one that rings most true to me right off the top. But again, I worry about the sustainability of the project that's been proposed. So that's really just kind of where my first inclinations are. And just making sure that this isn't something that, you know, 10 years down the road, it's done. And I feel like, you know, she went to great effort to provide something more lasting than that. So that's kind of where I stop.
Sustainability would be a filter, right? Or it might not be. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, yeah.
You know, yeah, that's kind of where my initial knee-jerk is.
But, and I think we keep in mind that, you know, we charge administration to look at several various ideas, you know, with this. Time is on our side, and we're not rushing into something as maybe those think that we are or we should be, or we're not. So the administration did the due diligence in coming up with 4 different scenarios of potentially, you know, using PIF. And it's again, you know, I'll reiterate for those watching at home that these are just topics, these are just ideas that you came up with. First, this is the first look, first draft. But as you did mention, for each of these 4 scenarios, there is still much more to be, you know, detailed within them.
So, Chris, just to clarify, because I think that makes a lot of sense, we would come back with kind of a set of guiding beliefs or filters as you spoke to them that would help us kind of work through a decision-making process?
I would like to see that personally.
Right.
And I think that would be really healthy in terms, I think, demonstrating stewardship, but also I do think people are going to, where does it come from?
Right.
Whose idea was that? Who was the group? And so from transparency, stewardship, and it'll make the decision easier, I think, ultimately. Okay. Right.
I love the idea of the scholarship component, one for, you know, a graduate from every elementary school. I think that's a nice way to honor her as well.
I'd kind of like to see that go a little longer than 10 years. I mean, if that can be our piece of longevity, I'd kind of like that, because I think there are ways to invest the money so that it, you know, there are people that you work off the principal, off the interest. I have been approached by a lot of people. I know that I got a letter from her classmates, high school class reunion, and they all have strong feelings that we lead to her legacy, and education was her legacy. So I think anything that we do in any parameters that we put in place have to have education of our elementary students first. I mean, I think that is our #1 priority as far as as a filter. I really think going forward, I think the first plan is, there's a lot to talk about there. I think the scholarship is something that I think would be a really nice piece. I think she would really appreciate it. She was a woman who gave. She and her brother gave, it's very obvious how much they gave over the years. And we met people who told us that she would try not to spend any money. She wouldn't let them, you know, replace anything. She would just live with what she had, and any extra money she had at the end of the year, she would give to her charities, which was pages and pages from what we heard. So I think giving to a student who could help with them in their education would be a great, she would really appreciate that. As far as, I appreciate that you went through the football field, because that was brought to us to be addressed. And I think that that's been done, and I think that that is not relevant to her or her legacy going further. I don't think that that would be a place, I don't think that would fall through our filters. But I think the direction you're going is great. I think there's a lot to talk about and think about.
So we'll go back and we'll work through that and figure out a timeline to bring that back to the board. Does that make sense?
Mike, you look like you
No, I'm
have a...
total agreement with Terry said.
Tara, to your point about the scholarship, that is appealing, because you can structure that to go on for a very long time. And, I'm thinking that, I like the idea of one from each school, but I also am thinking she's a teacher, so
Someone's going into teaching.
a scholarship to someone that's going on to be a teacher that somehow reflects the 3 or 4 things that we identify as unique about her, I think would be really cool too. So
I have to say,
that scholarship could be
the
structured a lot
scholarship
of
thing,
different ways.
I think everybody in town should go to that awards night at the high school at least once, because it is an absolute historical basis of our town, and it's a wonderful to sit in that audience and hear a little bit about all these people who have gone before us and have chosen to give scholarships, and their names are mentioned and their families are addressing it or introducing it, and it's such a positive community-based thing that to hear her name every year is wonderful.
Yeah.
And would be great. And I think you're right about how it would be done there are a lot of details on that as well.
It's good feedback. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing the initial context of the ideas forward for us to at least
It's a great place to start.
All right, with that, we're moving on to our 2014-15 budget modification.
Good.
And that is...
Burke is not back.
He's not back, so we can...
Oh, poor Burke.
Captive down there.
He is.
What?
It's being modified as we speak.
You never know. Jeez.
Bring him back alive, man. Bring him back alive.
Should we send a rescue party?
Okay, so this is a topic that came up briefly when we went before the Board of Finance the last time. And this is ongoing conversation I've had with Mary in terms of looking at shared service and collaboration as we move forward. We have 2 resource officers in the district. We're lucky to have those supports. We brought an additional position on last year, and we split that cost with the town. Historically, the first resource officer, the town has carried the burden of the total cost there. This conversation came to us a little late, in all honesty. If this was a conversation that came a little earlier, we would have worked it into the budget proposal. It's something I'm in support of. When we look at collaboration and we look at who is taking advantage of the resource, it makes sense to share. So what I didn't want to do, as it was late in the process, was do anything that would alter or increase the amount of money that we had requested. We're currently at a 1.05% increase. We know that we've gotten some real favorable information through the insurance consolidation. Burke is just engaged in the premium allocation rates and setting those rates right now. We have positive news on that front. And that news, in a nutshell, would allow us the flexibility to reduce the insurance line item by what would be $40,000, offset that with an increase in the salary line item and absorb the $40,000 cost, and still be at the 1.05% increase. So this isn't something that the board needs to vote on because it doesn't impact the bottom line, but it's something certainly, if we're going to do, I want to be transparent about and have a level of agreement and comfort with prior to moving forward. So I had let Mary know that we would talk after the board meeting tonight. I believe she is working through budgets right now in her conversations. Lisa, if I'm incorrect, let me know that. Have this funding in her budget and have it without the budget in case we're able to support that request. So it's something I support. I think it's something in the spirit of the collaborative practice that we're talking about, something that the Board of Finance has encouraged, and something that doesn't impact us in a negative way. And these resource officers are certainly a valuable resource that we want to continue to move forward. So I wanted to share that information. The information behind it is just the line item detail, and if you look through, you can go to the 2 highlighted line items that show the adjustment.
And we added that this year, correct? We added the second resource officer this year, so it's kind of new, just trying to figure out where it sits. So that makes sense that we would be responsible for having it.
I don't know if there's any questions on that or comments.
Any questions, comments? All right. 1, 2, Exhibit 6, it's the 2015-16 school calendar, always a very favorite topic amongst every board in our country.
Here we go. So in your packets, you do have a draft of the 2015-2016 school calendar for your review. Just want to highlight a couple of aspects of the calendar for you this evening. Opening day of school typically has been that last Wednesday of August and would be the case here, August 26th of 2015. As we have in the past couple of years, we would continue to have school in session on Veterans Day, November 11th, 2015. Each school would continue to hold really fantastic programming around that day to recognize the efforts of our veterans. Also, just as a reminder to the board, last year we did conduct a survey. We had a very popular response to that survey, specifically around questions regarding February break and April break, and the majority of the stakeholders from that survey did indicate that they would prefer a 4-day holiday in that February, so that certainly is reflected in this calendar, being that Monday and Tuesday, February 15th and 16th of 2016. And also to point out to you that last year the state convened a uniform regional school calendar task force. And they were tasked with coming up with a universal calendar initially to be put in place for this coming fall. Since then, the task force has recommended to postpone that regional calendar. They just met for the first time within the past week or so. So to postpone that regional calendar until fall of 2016. So we do not anticipate that being impacting our planning until minimally that time. But we'll update you on more information as we have it. And then finally, the last school day of next calendar year would be Friday, June 8th, pending, of course, any movement due to inclement weather. I don't know if we've had any experiences with that recently. So certainly open this up to discussion to board members. We would bring this forward at our next board meeting for potential adoption.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty. This was very painless school calendar first reading. Very good. All right, with that, we are at the end of our information and reports. We are at our second public audience. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the board may do so. At this time.
Not so much.
I
enjoyed this.
All right.
Board meeting, but it was very informational.
Thank you for coming.
With that, our next meeting will be on Tuesday, April 8th, 2014, here in this conference room. And I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you and good evening.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.